Okay, so I've added a little bit of information into the cells, something that we can have a look at. We can apply some various formula to them, summing, average, so on. We can formulate tables. We can change the structure of the cell contents and so on. So you can see there's 3 columns and 5 lines of information. Okay, so what I have here is outgoings for September 15 and September 16. So rent, bills, car, food, and the various amounts across the period. Okay, so from a 1 year period, 1 year change. So the first thing we can do is, one of the first things we can do is we can put the amount spent in currency format. So if we highlight our numbers here that we want to express in currency format, and we can go up here to this little currency symbol, and we can click there on euro. So the euro currency is applied then to those particular cells. We decide, well, we're actually dealing with pounds, we can do that, or we're dealing with dollars, we can do that, or if we're dealing with another currency completely, what we can do is we can go to more accounting formulas and into currency there, and into the symbol, and select whichever currency we want to use. Okay. However, the most frequently used ones are found in our little currency symbol there. So, as I said, we change that to euro. Okay. The next thing we could do maybe is we could change this September 15, September 16. Now, when I was typing this, I'll just delete that cell. I wrote September 2016. The format then Excel automatically puts on it, the format Excel puts on it is this format here. But we can change that if we want. We just want to maybe have a different format on it. So what we do is we can go into custom. We can highlight our 2 cells. We can go into custom. We can go into more number formats and into custom here. And we can maybe change what we want to say with it. We can have a day, month, year. So we can put the 1st September 2015. Again, we can go into custom. More number formats. We can go into date if we want and put this kind of date on it, put this kind of format on it. We could go into more number formats there. We could put this format on it. It really depends on what we want. I kind of like the look of September 2015, so we'll go back into that. It's into custom, and we will just change that to September 15, September 16. It's nice and neat. Okay. We could then decide that we are going to make our table a little bit more attractive. Okay. And we might decide to apply a format to our table. So we highlight our table as it stands there, and we go into format as table there. And we decide we're going to go for this format here. Where is the data for your table? You can see that Excel has picked up what I had selected earlier on for the data. My table does have headers, so outgoings in the year and so on. So I press OK, and we can see there it gives us a different format to our table. So you can change that. You can have whatever kind of format you want. Now you'll also notice that in your table, the way it's formatted, you have some arrows here beside your headings. So you can order your columns accordingly. So if we want to sort out our columns, so we have rent, bills, car and food. We want to sort out that by A to Z. So we have bills, car, rent, food. Or we want to sort out smallest to largest, which is our smallest bill in 2015, or smallest outgoing, I should say, in 2015. What about 2016? We'll sort from largest to smallest and so on. And obviously when you do that, it'll pick up what's in the rest of the column, what's in the rest of the row as well. It won't distort everything for you. So you can sort it there a little bit. We'll sort by smallest to largest, say. Okay, so from 2015, sort by smallest to largest. So we can do that with our cell as well. So already our piece of data is looking a little bit more interesting, looking a little bit more, the presentation is a little bit better. So what we might do now is we could maybe sum the total of the columns. So what was my total outgoing, say, in September 2015? Now there's 2 different ways I can do this. I'll click into my cell, and the first thing I can do is this auto sum column here, which will pick up everything, or mostly everything above the cell. Now if there's a gap in information, it won't do that. You have to select it yourself. There's no gap in the information here, so you can go auto sum and it'll sum the column here. Now we can also do auto sum here and do the same thing. Or alternatively, what we can do is we can pull forward the information or pull across the information that's in this cell into this cell. It's not copying it, it's pulling forward or it's pulling across the cell. So we pull it forward there and we can do that. Okay. Another thing that we can do in order to sum the information is we can go equal sum, open the bracket, and highlight in the information that we want to incorporate. Sometimes we have to do that if there's been a gap in the data here and this auto sum won't pick it up. So we can do equal sum, open the bracket, highlight the information, and close the bracket, and we have the sum as well. Now it's the same thing, okay? So we can do either or. So we can do the auto sum, enter, and pull forward our information, or equal sum, okay? We could also look and see of our 4 expenditures, we could have a look and see what's the average expenditure on each one. Okay, so we can go equal average. So the average expenditure was €284. The average expenditure on each of my outgoings there in September 2015, say. We can apply the same formula to that. And it was a little bit less. Now, just to show you again what it was, we go equal average. And we can have a look there. We could also have a look, so that's another story. So the average, so we have the total expenditure 2015-16, one piece of information. We have the average expenditure on each of the 4 outgoings, 2015 compared to 2016, there. And we can look at the total expenditure across each one, and that's the same formula that we used earlier on, total there. And if we want to do the total for all 4, we click into the cell when it's highlighted. When it's selected, we select this little black cell that's at the end of, that's in the bottom right hand corner of the cell, and drag it down. Now, if for example you see this kind of information here, all this means is that your cell width is not wide enough to display the information. So in order to do that, in order to display it, what you do is you can click on the column itself there. So you just click on the H or the G or the F, whatever it is. You click on the H and you bring your cursor over to when you have you're hovering over the cell divider, and you double click on that, and this will bring you all the information. You can see there, if you make it smaller, nothing will be displayed, a little bit bigger some things, and just double click on it and it'll do it automatically for you. Okay, so that's how you incorporate all that. So again, if you want to look at the spending of the 2, you can continue that over there. Now nothing will appear there because there was nothing in these columns here, and you can delete. So that, I suppose, is one way of just playing around with the data a little bit, the presentation, showing you just how to sum the columns, how to change the format of the columns, how to order the columns, how to look at the average expenditure across the 4 categories, how to look at the sum across the 2 years, and so on, how to change the order of the columns here. Now, so say we do change it by, say we go alphabetical order, then of course whatever your cell has picked up here will be changed accordingly, okay? So whatever was picked up here in this cell will now be picked up in this cell. You don't have to redo it or anything like that. So that is just some data formatting as such on your Microsoft Excel. Now what you might also want to do, or what you might also want to change, is the cell alignment. Okay, so here the automatic or the original, the default option, I suppose you could say, is the cell alignment here, the information that you type in being at the bottom of the cell. Okay, you might change it, you might change your information to being at the top of the cell, or the middle of the cell, or the bottom of the cell. What you might also change is, let's see, it doesn't give us an awful lot of room for expansion here in terms of that information, but maybe down here we might be able to change it. Yeah, okay. So when we have the formatting done, it can be a bit difficult to change the cell alignment. So here you want things to be aligned to the left, you want things to be aligned to the center, you want cell information to be aligned to the right. So same here, you want cell information to be aligned to the left, aligned to the center, and aligned to the right. You want to maybe bold your responses at the end, and again, you might want to change the formatting as well. You might want to highlight your responses or your answers as well. You can do that, and if you click into it, you can pick the various colors You might want to change the font for your final answer. Which you can do this way. You might want to only express it in terms of one decimal place, which you can also do. Let me just remove the formatting from that. Okay, so I click on normal and that removes all the formatting from it. You might want to express in one decimal place, and if that's the case, you can use these buttons here. So increase decimal, decrease decimal place, integer, one decimal place, two decimal places. Okay, so you can play around with it a little bit there and change the formatting. Okay, that's kind of basically what you might need to know for that kind of formatting. You can play around with it yourself and see what suits you and see what suits your information. Okay, what you might also be interested in doing is copying information from cells. So if you want to copy that information, so you'll highlight the information there and you'll go copy and you can paste it down there. So pasting the information down there. Often if you are transferring information between sheets here, the formatting may not carry over from one sheet to another. So if you only want to copy these numbers, so you'll copy it, transfer it over here, and if you just want to copy the numbers, ABC, you can, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, you can do so clicking the 1, 2, 3 button. Now this will, you can see that's 284.75, whereas originally what it was equals average the table, so you're averaging the values that are in the table, but here you're just transferring the numbers themselves. That can be interesting if the formatting won't transfer from document to document, so to speak. That could be an interesting thing for you to do and a useful thing for you to do. What you might also want to do is express values here, stacked values I suppose, so in row by row. So you have your numbers here, so you'll copy them and you can what's called transpose them here. So this will, the transpose figure will transfer everything that is in the row into a column. Okay, so that might be something that you might like to do as well in your assignment if necessary. So if you want to, for example, insert some information here into your data, okay, so you want to insert a column, you figure out that you want to put in maybe September 2014 information. So you've done 15-14, but you have located some information for September 2014 which you want to add in, but how are you going to do it? So what you're going to do there is you click on cell E and you right click on it and you go insert, and the column will come up there. You can rename it if you like, so we call it September 14. Okay, so you can rename it and include September 14 in your analysis here if you like. You want to delete it, you just again right click on it and delete the column. Okay, so that's basically it for that part of the Excel tutorial. Again, as I said in the previous one, if this information is too basic for you, you can ignore and move on to the more the material more related to your assignment, for example.